No, I don't want eco mode. Eco mode's for slow people. No hand controls whatsoever.
No clutch, no brakes.
Very strange. It's not even like the Zero, which had hand controls. Or a hand control. Alright, let's see if I can't drive this thing without being mad at it.
That's fine.
Don't tell me what to do. Okay. There's no automatic?
This is automatic.
No, I mean like, it's in neutral. So I have to shift gears all the time?
You need to get gas. This goes right here.
Oh, okay, really? I wasn't sure if that was where the gas was, like every other motorcycle in this world.
Alright, buddy, have fun.
I get a Phoenix, she'll be rising and
So this is a new Can-Am Spyder. Very interesting vehicle, to say the least, right? This is such an odd, I don't know what to think of this. Oh man, that is so weird. It's not a motorcycle, I don't know what it is. This gets such a weird sound to it. Like really weird. It does mad burnouts, dude. I don't think this has a regular automatic mode though, from what I'm able to tell. Alright, let's talk about this thing a little bit. Can-Am Spyder. I rode one not too long ago, actually a couple years ago, when I used to live in Brunswick, and it was one of the very first models that came out. So this is a completely different model than the one I rode, and this one is supposedly like a much faster version of the one that I rode back in the day. I believe that one had a clutch and a brake by the hand, if I remember right. I'll have to go back in the video and find out whether... Ew! That's gross! But before it had a, okay, so it does automatically downshift for you if you get too low. That's nice. I was hoping that it would be an automatic in general. But it does have a shifty mode here. I don't know what the RPM range that it does. Maybe it'll automatically shift to second for me too. We're gonna find out. But this is certainly a strange vehicle. Not something that I'd generally be interested in. But I have to say, it's cool. It's just, as someone who's ridden bikes basically his whole life, it's a very strange feel. Will you automatically shift up for me? It's not. I don't think it will. Either that or I don't have it in the right mode. But it's weird. I don't really feel like I'm riding anything like a motorcycle, you know? I've got so many different opinions on this thing. It's like it feels cool to ride. Like, I won't lie, I feel a lot cooler on this thing than I thought I was gonna feel. I thought I was just gonna feel like a big lame-o, but it kind of gives you a cool feel. Now, is the Spyder something that I would be generally interested in buying or even looking at as a thought to buy? No, not even a little bit. This is not something that I would ever consider purchasing myself. Mostly because I've ridden motorcycles my whole life. I like the motorcycle lifestyle. I like everything about motorcycles. And this seems to have the negative of motorcycles and the negative of cars. So it's like a weird cross between a motorcycle and a car. And it seems to be kind of the worst of both worlds. I mean, you do have the benefit, right, of I don't have to hold up the bike, so that's cool. Like, if I was an older gentleman, maybe ex-military, veteran type of deal, had like hurt legs or something like that, totally see myself getting something like that. First thing I noticed I don't like the paddle, I don't like the shifting, I don't like the way you shift on this thing. You use your thumb to go up and you use your trigger finger to go down. I don't like that. I don't like the way it feels. I'm not a huge fan of it at all. Also, another thing I don't like is you only have a foot brake. As a motorcyclist, this throws me off in so many ways it's not even funny. Matter of fact, I feel as though that if I was constantly riding this, I would forget how to operate a motorcycle altogether. I mean, yeah, it's nice because it's comfortable. Like, I've got a backrest, I've got a really comfortable seating position and seat in general. Like, I could go wherever I wanted on this. But it's a weird cross between a car and a motorcycle, and it has the worst of both worlds. Like, the worst part about being on a bike is that you're in the elements. I mean, it's nice to be outside, it's nice to ride a motorcycle, but the benefit of having a car is being covered in air conditioning and like tinted windows. This doesn't have any of that. So that's a negative. I mean, you do have this little windshield. It seems to work pretty all right. If I open my visor, I'm not getting hit in the face with any wind whatsoever. And you don't have to hold up a motorcycle. You know, you don't have to hold up the weight at stoplights. You don't have to feather the clutch. Like, these are all things that I guess you could consider benefits, stuff that I enjoy about motorcycles. I like sitting on a motorcycle, and I like having to clutch it, and I like having to, I like all this shit up here, you know, and there's none of that. But in the biker community, I think the biggest question for a lot of people who ride these is they're concerned that bikers don't take them seriously, or they're not considered a biker, and I can kind of get behind that, you know. I would consider a Harley trike more of a bike than this. Specifically because, you know, at least it's still a Harley, I guess. This is kind of like a breed of its own. I really hate the foot brake, to be honest. I cannot stand it because I want to grab here. I've grabbed here like 3 or 4 times. And I don't like just having a foot brake, you know, it's like having a gas pedal. But the people who make this thing doesn't really gear it towards motorcyclists. They gear it to people who aren't really interested in the motorcycle life. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have it. I'm having a hard time thinking about this thing because it's such a different experience. It's not a motorcycle, right? It's not a motorcycle. It's not a motorcycle, Dan. The steering really throws you around too. But my main point of this video is that this isn't intended for bikers. This product is not made for bikers. Let me turn on blinker. It still has blinkers, which is nice. You gotta use the brake. I keep forgetting about that. Appreciate you. I see. Thank you. Oh man, this thing is very odd. I don't like hitting turns on this thing at all. The steering is just, it grabs and I feel like I'm gonna flip it. That right wheel feels like it's coming up. So it doesn't feel great in turns either. Maybe that's just because it's against my natural instincts to fucking, it's just against my natural instincts maybe. Maybe that's it. I don't really know. It's very odd. It just feels so different, and I'm fighting it because it's so different. As someone who's ridden motorcycles for the majority of his lifetime now, I'm fighting every natural urge in my body because you're in a motorcycle seating position, but you've got nothing else that resembles a motorcycle, and that's what's really odd about this. I don't like going fast on it. The front has got constant imbalanced steering. You're constantly making these tiny corrections, and I feel like I'm gonna flip in every corner. It's either the back wants to come out or I'm gonna flip. There's no in between. Maybe if I start leaning over here, I don't know. But I keep trying to get to this point, and I'm struggling right now because I'm just in absolute awe. I feel like I'm in a fist fight with myself because I don't know what to think about really. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a burnout here. I mean, it's not slow. It's not the fastest thing I've ever ridden on, you know? It's definitely not the fastest by any sense of the word, but it's not slow. It's got a bit of feel to it, you know? And it's got a very interesting intake noise. It almost sounds like it's turboed. It keeps throwing me off because I keep waiting for a blow-off valve. But this isn't made for motorcyclists. This is made for people who can't ride motorcycles, in my opinion. I don't think people who are physically able to ride motorcycles should buy this. This doesn't seem like something that I would buy if I was a physically able, like, I'm 24. I am more than capable of holding onto a motorcycle. I'm more than capable than walking around and like moving my bike. You know, I'm 5'8", I can handle all of the height problems of a motorcycle. But let's say that I was a veteran. Let's say that I was in the military and got one of my legs blown off, you know? Let's say that I wasn't physically able to keep a motorcycle upright. Then this would be a great opportunity for me to ride motorcycles or get the feeling of riding motorcycles while still, you know, being able to cater to my issues. And it's weird because I say this as someone who's physically abled. I don't know what people who are disabled look at this thing like. If they look at it like a gateway to getting what they want to be able to do, or if they look at it like, I don't want to ride that, I want to ride a real bike, you know? People are going to be like, is that a real bike? It's hard for me to say. I like to respect anything that you ride. I respect just about anything on 2 wheels, even scoots. But there's something about this that I just don't have the same level of respect for. I mean, if I see you on the road and you're driving this, I'm still gonna wave to you. I'm still gonna give you the biker wave, because that's how I am. I'm open-minded and I like to treat everyone with respect the same way that they treat me with respect. But I know for a fact not everyone's gonna do that. If you buy this with the intentions of being a well-respected member of the biker community, you're probably out of luck on that, because I think that a lot of people are gonna look at this thing like it's not a motorcycle, like it's not a real bike, that this is just something for someone who, oops, it's not made for someone who has the ability to ride a bike, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people are gonna look at it like that too. If I had to choose between this and a motorcycle, I would choose a motorcycle every time. I would choose a 50cc motorcycle over this, just because it's just not quite the same. And it's hard for me to be super positive about this vehicle because there's a lot of things that are missing with it. I don't see the benefit of having one of these over a two-wheeled motorcycle, but it seems to be a really weird, popular thing in bro culture right now to have one. People that are like 25 and 30 and stuff like that, who are physically able to ride motorcycles, they like these, and I don't understand. If I could ride a motorcycle, I wouldn't have this. But again, I think that this is more geared towards people who are physically unable to. Individuals who are handicapped, who can't function physically properly, you know? And that's my 2 cents on it. I used to be a hardcore trikes aren't bikes type of guy. Three-wheelers are not motorcycles. I was talking to some guy who was riding a trike, and a little bit older gentleman in his 40s, you know, he wasn't super old. He gets off this trike and I'm like, dude, what makes you want to ride a trike over a motorcycle? And he's like, I can't hold up a motorcycle. I was like, what do you mean? You look young, and he lifts up his leg and he's got this big, gnarly, okay, that's fine, whatever. He's got this big, like, gnarly fake leg. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I'm a veteran. I think he was not in, was it Desert Storm? I don't know. He might not have been 40. He was an older guy though, and he had lost his leg due to an IED in the war. That kind of put it in perspective for me. I get it. Why some people, and as far as I'm concerned, if you ride one of these because you physically are unable to ride a real bike, then you get a pass, my dude. That is your pass. As far as I'm concerned, you're a more real biker than me, because I'm not sure if I'd be able to hop on something like this after being physically disabled. So guys like that, especially military guys in general, have a lot of respect for me because it's kick-ass, right? But these are just opinions. No, I'm not here to persuade you otherwise from buying a motorcycle like this. I'm just so conflicted. I'm conflicted not in the same way I was with the ZX14, because I didn't want to like the ZX14 and I ended up liking the ZX14. I'm conflicted because I wanted to like this and I ended up not liking it. I should have kept my arm covered. That shit's all goofed. I think this thing with a turbo would actually be kind of fun though. Really getting on it with a turbo on these would be hella cool. I think if this had a clutch and a handbrake like a motorcycle, it'd be a completely different story. A clutch, a brake, and a foot control, I'd be all about this. But with this automatic button pushing, it's like it took the last little bit of feeling away from having a motorcycle as it would be. And again, I don't think the designer of this really wanted this to be considered a motorcycle. Oh God. I mean, I think it looks really cool, and I think the idea is great, but it's just too far away from being a motorcycle for me to enjoy it like a motorcycle. And I think that's a problem, because I hopped on here expecting to treat it like a motorcycle and expected it to feel similar to a motorcycle, because it does have motorcycle-like qualities. That doesn't mean the product's bad. This bike has been executed in a great way as far as, like, from what I understand, the reliability on these are great. It's belt driven, so you don't have to worry about any sort of lubrication system. Maybe swap a belt every 50,000 miles. I mean, it's got a nice big windscreen. I can see very clearly out of the rear view mirrors. It's quick. It's comfortable. It's got a good sound and feel to it, like when you're just driving straight. Really easy to ride. And from a practical standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to ride something like this over a motorcycle. You've got cargo space. You got massive bags you can throw on this shit. I mean, it's like an economy motorcycle. I keep trying to accelerate with my foot for some reason. And now my tattoo bandage cover has come off completely, and it's just whipping me in the face with gross Go! I gotta get back. My tattoo cover's off.